are not. Everybody wants to associate that with European Judaism. They're not always European Judaism. Yahweh is speaking of those that say they praise Yahweh and they don't. That's the definition. That anybody that falls in the category of saying that they praise Yah, but that they don't. Christianity falls in that category. Anybody that falls in the category of praise, the very definition of the word. So yeah, a lot of European Jews fall in that category. A lot of black Jews fall in that category. A lot of people fall in that category because she said, this time I will praise Yahweh. Anybody that says that they praise Yahweh, which has to be examined by your fruit, the life you live, fits in that category. It's just we have to understand the, like you always say, inductive and deductive, the inductive method of when is Yahweh talking about the spiritual portion of this, and when is he talking about the actual letter of the law? That's what we were talking about earlier. At times, Israel doesn't always know when it's time to employ the letter, and then when it's in time to employ the spirit. That's one thing the Holy Spirit is for, is there's time periods where Yahweh is saying that this needs to be done by the letter, and then there's time periods where Yahweh says this needs to be done by the spirit of the law. And sometimes it's both.
Speaking of that, I was thinking about I guess a question: how can we tell someone that Yahweh never changes, but they see in the so-called Old Testament how he was just tearing people up, and then you get to the New Testament, so-called New Testament, you see grace and love, and they can't switch between those two, and they think that he's all love and forgiving.
Because anybody that makes that statement has not read the Bible one time. That's why they can say that. Nobody. If anybody that says that Yahweh was the mighty one of destruction and tearing people up in the Old Testament scriptures hasn't read it. Yahweh is beyond merciful and more than merciful throughout the scriptures, throughout the Old Testament scriptures, and Yahweh. His peace, the peace that he had, and the joy that he had with Israel and with other nations whatsoever was quite often. And Yahweh's grace is always in the Old Testament scriptures. The first grace system that ever existed was the sacrificial system. The sacrificial system is a system of grace. Because the scripture says, the soul that sins, it shall die. So if the soul that sins, it shall die, then why is an animal dying for you? So that is unmerited favor. That is grace. So the New Testament, I wrote something some time ago, and I made sure that I put it right in the front of the open up Matei, when I open up Mr. Yah, I always make sure I read this before I open up Matthew. I have the New Testament books are like being on a ship in the middle of the ocean. Then a storm comes and you are being tossed to and fro in the midst of it. You are looking for an anchor which can settle you and give you a foundation, which is the Old Testament scriptures or the Tanakh, which brings understanding and clarity to a supposed unclear books. The New Testament can only be interpreted by what the Old Testament has said. There's nobody that actually has a heart for Yahweh and has Yahweh's Holy Spirit guiding them that can read the New Testament scriptures and see the New Testament for being anything but a fulfillment and a commentary of the Tanakh. That's just simply what it is. It's not saying anything different than the Old Testament scriptures at all. If any more thing, Yahweh is patient. I mean, he's patient for sure. I mean, don't you see Yahweh's merit, his grace with Noah's time period? He told him 120 years he gave him to get it right. I think that's a lot of grace.
That's a lot of grace.
Mercy.
More grace than we would give somebody.
Yeah, 120 years. I mean, 120. He told what was going to flood and then he gave those people 120 years to get things in order. So
we'll give somebody 15 minutes.
Say it again. You're right.
Right.
You're right.
Yahweh gave, when you read the Old Testament scriptures, Yahweh gave Israel, that's what he said, he brought Israel out a mixed multitude. He gave nations at Mount Sinai, at Mount Horeb. Many nations heard Yahweh. It wasn't just Israel at Mount Sinai. And they were given the opportunity to abide by that covenant and enter into that marriage there. The ketubah was the commandments of Yahweh, and they were allowed to enter, and they chose not to. So Yahweh gave people the sojourner, and the when you read Levitical law, he says, treat the sojourner like your own. How's that an evil mighty one? What are you talking about? I mean, like, Yahweh's wrath comes after he's given people multiple chances to be a part of it. Multiple chances. So people that say that, they don't read. So you should end conversations with them. They are giving you conversation based upon their heart, based upon what they think they've heard, teachings they heard. As Hebrews, we actually read the book, supposedly. We actually read regularly. So when we hear those conversations, we should hear like when if you're a mechanic and you're fixing a carburetor or something, and somebody walk up to you and say, hey man, you're supposed to do that like that. Being a person who's a mechanic, you should be able to hear when a person is a what I like to call a backseat driver that don't drive, but they know exactly how and which way you should be going and what you should be doing as a driver. So you should end conversations with people that say that, because if you're a reader, you would know that Yah has been exactly the same since the beginning of time. He has not changed anything, right? He's quiet and he's patient whatsoever, but just like any parent that comes to the school of their child after they have been told them their rules, they sit in the back of the class and they watch to see whether that child now lives out the rules in which they have imputed in them. So Yahweh is in a 2000 time period of just watching Israel, seeing whether after the Messiah, it's after the Messiah now, because that's his final lamb. He's given Israel an opportunity now to wake the heck up, and he's just being patient. It's really just that simple. It really is. Because you, as a parent, that's what you do. Sometimes as a parent, you strike quickly. And then sometimes as a parent, you'll see your child do something and you'll let it slide and you'll get him later. He's doing nothing different than you would do in your own household. I use that example to people all the time that try to bring on the mindset of grace. No human being on this planet runs their household by grace, no matter what law you live by. Everybody, Muslim, Jew, atheist, agnostic, Asian, Australian, runs their household by laws. Everybody in their household eats a certain way. Everybody in their household dresses a certain way. Everybody in their household has rules, bedtimes. They have, every household is ran by laws. And when you're in that household, if you're not abiding by those laws, you now are outside of the rule of their household. Whether you're an atheist, when you're an atheist, you have bedtimes for your children. You have things your children can wear or not wear. Every human being on this planet runs their household and their life by laws, not grace. Nobody runs their household by grace. Grace is something that is imputed in your household when you have law. If you see your child, if you tell your child TV's got to go off at 9 o'clock and you come in and it's 10 o'clock and they still have it on, you have the opportunity to impute law, or you can have grace. It's up to you. But that grace exists in your household because you have a law. So all human beings, all of creation is ran by laws. Everything in creation is ran by law. So any human being that's saying we're not under the law makes no sense. They are disconnected from anything sane. They're not sane because everything runs by laws. The animal kingdom runs by laws. The solar system runs by laws. Your household runs by laws. They're not under the law. We're not under the law of the Bible. But if you ask them, do your children have a bedtime? That's a law. Can your child wear what they want to wear? No, that's a law. Can your husband, step outside your house, your marriage? That's a law. He'll say, do you have a certain food you eat in your household? If your whole house is vegetarian, that's a law. So anybody that says we're not under the law is spiritually disconnected. They're just disconnected. So.
And we had some people that said it in the past, and I had to correct them. Just like you said, now we got 11,000 laws on the books in America, but we want to follow them. But when it comes to the Most High Heaven laws, no, those laws are done away with. Mm-hmm. But where did that happen at? And that's what they will talk, to make themselves feel like they, actually know the scriptures and act as if they do have the insight. But like you said, anything that you have in the world, there's a law. There's rules. A law is rule. Regulations. You can't operate in a society or a civilization without any rules, regulations, or any laws.
Whether you agree, or whether you like them or disagree with them.
Exactly. So, that is the most asinine, insane, logic that you can ever, use. And furthermore, you just showing your ignorance. Period.
Right. Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11. If somebody can get that, Ecclesiastes chapter 8, verse 11 makes it very clear why they think this way.
How you doing, Sister Abigail?
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom. Hey, everybody.
How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Pretty good in yourself.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
All blessed.
Shalom.
And Derrick, I did give you a shout out. You didn't say nothing. Shabbat shalom to you, brother.
Shabbat shalom, brother. Shabbat shalom, family.
Shabbat shalom.
Hey, Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Hey, now, I know, Ryan, we have had this discussion before when it comes to the law. And I do agree with everybody. The law is still in existence. My thing was, and what you said earlier, you said the law of the land. But I believe the law of the land also kept us in bondage too. A lot of things that is on the books for law is to bring us down. So I do agree with you on that. But I believe the law is spiritual. And the way that the Most High deal with me and the things that he have shown me, I do agree with the law. And I'm saying it out front and clearly. I believe in the law of the Most High, but I believe it's spiritual. Because just like how I think one of the brothers said earlier, how the moon and the sun, the law of the universe, the Most High spoke it, they do it continuously. Even when man falls and makes mistakes, pick itself up to get back on the right path that the Most High have for us. I believe that the law is spiritual. I believe a lot of things that, and this is just my personal opinion, I'm a type of man, I'm very humble. I listen. If I'm wrong, I don't have a problem with correction. But I do believe that the law is spiritual. I believe a lot of things that, from my understanding, that been, like I think you said, Ryan, there's like over, 11,000 laws in the books? No, that was for man law. But there's supposed to be, 613 laws we're supposed to be abiding by. And when I ask people, we'll break them down. What is it that the Most High said, and what is it that the priests and man have said? And I haven't met no one that can sit back and draw a line of separation.
Well, welcome to the truth. Here we go. We're gonna break it down right here.
Y'all ready? Here we go.
Because
Here we
go ahead.
Time to get on the love train.
First, you're gonna feel the pain.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Anybody want to break that down for the
Bring
brother?
it
Because
on.
I think me and Derrick has had this discussion, and I just, you know, he knows what I think. So anybody else want to break that down?
I guess I could start the little.
Because real quick, one thing, because I know in Galatians, he did break down the laws, and it was all, to me, it was all spiritual. So I go on unmute, and like I said, I'm a humble brother, and Ryan knows it. I will listen, and I do not have a problem with corrections. So brothers, go ahead and go at it.
I'm gonna just give a little foundation before one of the brothers or sisters bring more clarity to it. First thing I want to say is that you're wrong when we think that the law is just spiritual. It's not just spiritual. Being that, you know, if you catch your wife in the act of adultery, is your feelings going to be physical? Is it going to get physical? You know, or is it going to be just spiritual? What I mean by that are you going to pray about it and let it go? Or is there going to be a divorce involved? And are you going to go to lawyers? Are you going to take some action? Are you going to kill her? You know, somebody could think these thoughts, whether to do the right thing or the wrong thing. You know, still being a believer, we ought to go by law. And again, it's in the law to divorce, you know, although Yahweh hates divorce. As far as law, you know, it's a lot of scriptures that points us to the law.
This commandment which I command.
You won't find no prophet speaking against it. You know, no prophet at all is going to speak against it. My favorite prophet was Eliah, the prophet. You know, 1 Kings 18, just a little verse. You know, he was saying that, just to be clear,
Ear to you in your mouth.
he said, how long will you go limping between two sides? If Yahweh be Elohim, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. Verse 18 says, and he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but you and your father's house, and that you have forsaken the commandments of Yahweh, and you have followed the Balaam. Now, a lot of people today will look at the commandments as just the 10, but all his laws are commanded, you know, so we have to look at them as commandments too. So I rest my statements there.
Well said.
Good job.
Anybody else? The floor is yours.
I wanted to comment first on the statement that you said that the laws that our mankind have put us in bondage. I would disagree with that. Yahweh put us in bondage. And Yahweh put us in bondage when you read Deuteronomy chapter 28, when you read Leviticus chapter 26, because of our disobedience to Yahweh's commandments, statutes, and laws, there's been this downward spiral of us going into bondage. And we, in our disobedience, have put us into bondage. When your child receives a beating for doing something wrong in your home, you did not beat the child. The child brought that upon themselves because of their disobedience. So every single place that Israel is in this world, specifically, as Brother Ma said, with this country, we are in bondage, and those laws are made to bring a tight noose around our necks to choke Israel back into their senses, because that's what pressure does. Pressure awakens you. And that's why that's why all of the laws, statutes, and commandments that exist in this land are for whites and for Asians and for other nations. But when it comes to our people, It was specifically designed to pot boiling over so Israel could want to get out of the pot. That's the reason you beat a child is because that pain is to awaken their senses of right doing. So every monstrosity has happened to us is lashes. As Joshua received 39 lashes, save one, that he received those lashes as a beating upon as a beating because of the disobedience of Israel. Deuteronomy chapter 28 and Leviticus chapter 26. Israel is being beaten. As Yahweh says to Moshe, I have heard the cry of my people, but he chose to keep them in their bondage as a punishment until they awaken. That's the first statement. And I want to address the second thing that you say that I hear quite often from people, that the law is spiritual. Man, really interesting statement, right? Because we use that so loosely, like we know what the heck spirit is. Spiritual. What? The law of Yahweh is spiritual. Let's take, when I think of spiritual, and I think most people think of, we think of heaven, right? We think of heaven, you know, that's where Yahweh is. He is spiritual, right? Let's see what Yahweh said himself about his laws and his commandments and his statutes, where we should apply and what he thought about his law, whether he thought it was spiritual or whether he thought it was physical. Let's look at Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 11 to 13. Let's see what the Father, thought about his own law. Can somebody read? And I would prefer, brother, too, if you could turn to Deuteronomy chapter 30, verses 11 to 13. Yahweh, really 11 to 16. He made it very clear because at Mount Sinai, something supernatural had happened, right? Yahweh was on the mountain, all this thundering going on, the commandments written by the finger of Elohim, right? You could automatically think that the law is in heaven, it's spiritual. But let's see what Yahweh said about it.
Anybody got it?
Deuteronomy what? 11? Deuteronomy what?
30, 11, 15. Take it slow.
30, 11?
30, 11 to 16.
13. Oh, okay.
Deuteronomy, Devarim 30, 11 to 16.
All right. For this commandment, which I command you this day.
Wait, well, actually start at verse 10.
It says, if you shall obey the voice of Yahweh, your Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law. If you turn to Yahweh, your Elohim, with all your heart and with all your soul, for this commandment which I command you this day, it is not too hard for you, neither is it far off. It is not in heaven that you should say, who shall go up for us to heaven, and bring it unto us, and make us to hear it, that we may do it. Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, who shall go over the sea for us, and bring it to us, and make us to hear it.
Not on the sea, keep going.
That we may do it. But the word is very near to you, in your mouth and in your heart, that you may do it. See, I have set before you this day life and good, and death and evil. And that I command you this day to love Yahweh your Elohim, to walk in his ways, and to keep his commandments, and his statutes, and his ordinances, that you may live and multiply, and that Yahweh your Elohim may bless you in the land which you go in to possess. But
right, so Yahweh makes it pretty clear here, because Israel's receiving something pretty strange, you know. They're receiving the law. Moses is their prophet. He's coming down with commandments written by the finger of Elohim. There's thunder and lightning and voices going on. There's spiritual things involved. There are physical things involved. There's a fence being put around the mountain. But Yahweh wanted to make it very clear that the law of Yahweh ain't in heaven. It ain't spiritual like what most people would think. It comes from a spirit, but it's not spiritual. Meaning in the sense to say, like, spiritual indicates you can just float up there in the heavens. Yahweh said, I want you to take this law. It ain't afar off. It is near to you. And he says something here very interesting that doesn't, he covers, he does something I like to do that he does at times. He throws the prophetic into he makes it prophetic. He said, it is near to you and it is in your heart. Now, actually, at this time period, the law wasn't in Israel's heart at this time period. It comes much later when it becomes upon their heart. But he is giving the totality of how his law works. His law is for life. His law is for living. His law is not in heaven. His law is not far off. His law is something that you directly do to live by on a daily basis, 100%, 100%. So I'm going to give you an example about how the law is spiritual. There's a spiritual component to it. I'll give you an example, the dietary laws, right? Yahweh tells us that we are not to eat an unclean animal. That's a literal physical thing. Mm-hmm. The spiritual portion of it is because he doesn't want us to be like a pig. That's the spiritual portion. So you have a physical portion of it, and that's the spiritual portion of it whatsoever. So Yahweh tells us that we should not come in contact with our wives while they're on their monthly cycle. That's the physical portion of it. The spiritual portion of it is that the life is in the blood. We can't physically touch the life in the blood. So there always is a physical and spiritual portion of it. But neither one of them discount the other. They only make sense together. So when someone says that the law is spiritual, at times it can indicate like you taking Yahweh's literal law and threw it into heaven, like it's just for the angels to do. Because the angels don't live by laws. That's real spirit. They don't live by like the Torah. They're not bound by the Sabbath and bound by the dietary laws or anything, because those are spirits. They don't even have a plan of salvation for them. So when you say the law is spiritual, the right interpretation of that is that when you're doing a literal law, the literal law has a spiritual component to it. One doesn't discount the other. Is what I'm saying. Like Yahweh tells us that we are to only eat animals that have a split hoof, or only eat the animals that have two stomachs whatsoever, to indicate that we digest the word and give it back up. Digesting the word. Those are the spiritual components of the law. When Yahweh says that we are to keep the Passover. And the point of the Passover is that if we keep the Passover, the spiritual portion of it is that the death angel will pass over us. See, Israel physically kept the Passover, and the spiritual death angel passed over them. If they would have kept the physical Passover, that spiritual thing would have killed them. Here's what I'm saying.
Come on, boy. Say that, boy. Come on, say that, boy.
You know what I'm saying? You need both of them. They both work together. The scripture says that when a husband and a wife, when they're married, they are one flesh. I don't know one man that walks around with his wife connected to her body as one flesh. They're not one flesh. You're not one flesh with your wife. The one flesh is a spiritual thing that is seen in the eyes of Yahweh when you physically enter into her. When you physically commit to her. If the law is spiritual, then you need never to physically sleep with your wife, because you spiritually entered her through the covenant. So it's how are you one flesh? How are you one flesh? You're one flesh taking on her name. You're one flesh because when I enter into her, I release my flesh into her. That's what makes you one flesh. So it's a physical thing that needs a spiritual thing. They work together, and Paul calls it a mystery. The like-minded say just, he says. To the like-minded say just. Yahshua is the Lamb of Yahweh. How is a human being the Lamb of Yahweh? How is him being the Lion of Judah? These are the spiritual components of the. He's not a lamb. He's not a lion. But his nature, his humility is the spirit of a lamb. He led himself to the slaughter and laid his head without a word. That's a physical thing he did, like the nature of a lamb. The spirit. So Joshua didn't spiritually die on the tree. He physically died as a spiritual lamb. He physically died as a spiritual lamb. So the law, in my understanding, I could be 1,000% wrong, but in my understanding, that's how the law works with spirit and what you need them together. They have to, they can't work without each other.
Right. Absolutely. That was beautiful. Beautiful breakdown.
Time.
Okay.
Was you going?
Derrick, did you understand it? I mean, how do you feel about that?
I understand exactly what he said.
Right. And we have to be careful about this spiritual thing, D, in this walk, because people will say things, because it sounds good. But when you run that red light, that's not a spiritual law. That's a physical law. And once again, I compare the Most High's laws just like, these people got these laws written on the books. He has books that have laws written down just like these heathens do. So it's not a spiritual thing. No, these are physical laws, just like the brother said, that we must, obey. And so there's no getting around that. And if anybody is teaching otherwise, then they're misleading you, and that's a dangerous road to go down, because then it's just like a smorgasbord, a buffet where you can follow this law, but I don't want that law over there, so I'm gonna skirt around that. But I want a little bit of that law right there. See what I'm saying? Where does it end?
But Mark, can I say one more thing? Can somebody turn Acts 21, Acts chapter 21, starting verse 17. Acts 21:17.
And you was about to say something from Ecclesiastes too, weren't you?
Yeah, we'll get back. I forgot about that.
Okay.
I mean, answering this question, or attempting to answer. I don't know if I'm answering this question, but attempting to answer this question. So, Acts 21:17, where the Apostle Paul here is being questioned with the law. So we're going to see real clear here that the law ain't spiritual, because when I hear people say the law is spiritual, I need you to define what spiritual means. There's evil spirits, there's good spirits. Romans chapter 7 really covers this battle that Paul has within himself about the law, about he said, about the law. So here we're going to see that the law isn't spiritual like what you think. So Acts chapter 21, starting verse 17.
And when we arrived at Jerusalem, the brethren received us gladly. And the day following, Paul went in with us to Jacob, and all the elders were present. And when he had saluted them, he recounted one by one the things which Yahweh had performed among the Gentiles through his ministry. And they, when they heard it, glorified Yahweh. And they said to him, "You see, brother, how many thousands there are among the Jews of them that have believed, and they are all zealous for the law."
So let's make this clear. He says that they have believed and are zealous for the law. So they believe and are zealous for the law. So let's make it clear. So they believe in Joshua, and they are zealous to keep the law, the physical law. Keep going.
And they have been informed concerning you that you teach all the Jews who are among the Gentiles to forsake Moses, telling them not to circumcise their children, neither to walk after their customs. What is it, therefore? They will certainly hear that you have come. Do therefore this that we say to you.
Now pause. So there was the same confusion that exists today, exists back then. Peeling Paul's epistles apart. Was Paul an in-law or an outlaw? So the message was that day that it was going around that somehow Paul was teaching that we ought to circumcise our children, physical circumcision, forsake Moses, physical, nor to walk after our physical. So they wanted to clear this up real quick, because that is the major thing that Christianity uses today. They go to Galatians and Romans and they misinterpret Ephesians and all of Paul's writings. He is the champion for the lack of the law or the lack of obedience to the law. So the same thing happened here, and Shaul is for the Sanhedrin here. Paul's for the Sanhedrin before YAACOB, the bishop or the directing elder, the Malak Sibor of the assembly, and he wanted to make this clear once and for all. Did Paul teach to physically keep the law, or did he not? So let's read about what he did.
Do therefore this, that we say to you, we have 4 men that have a vow on them. These take and purify yourself with them, and be at charges for them, that they may shave their heads, and all shall know that there is no truth in the things of which they have been informed concerning you, but that you yourself also walk orderly, keeping the law. So
he walks orderly, keeping the law. So Paul did something, it was very interesting, right? Jacob tells him to keep the Nazirite vow. He goes and gives him one of the strictest things a person can do in the law, like becoming a nun or becoming a monk or something of that nature. And one of the strictest things a person can do in the law to show that he obeyed the law, because that's where the confusion comes from. The confusion comes from misinterpreting Paul's writings, misinterpreting what it is that he was saying as it relates to the law. The only thing that Israel don't do anymore, is sacrifice animals, which we can go through the Tanakh. Yahweh never wanted sacrifice anyway. He only wanted obedience. And the penalty for the law, which is death, because Yahshua died for our transgressions. And to answer your statement earlier, brother, about nobody's been able to break down the laws, if I get your number, I can give you a copy of all 613 laws, and we can go through one by one with them. All of Israel is not supposed to keep all 613 laws. Let's make this clear. We are not supposed to keep all 613 laws while we are in bondage. It is impossible, because the 613 laws are government community laws. Some of those laws don't even apply to you in this land. They are laws for a community. They are laws for water. They are laws for trade. They are laws for housing. They are laws for all sorts of things that wouldn't manifest until we had a full community. So it's not our job to keep all 613 laws, because when you actually read them, there are things about farming your land and giving to your brother. There are certain things with the jubilees that relate to certain things that are not necessary unless we are in a community. So we are only supposed to keep the laws that apply to us, that are community laws. There are certain priestly laws that were for the Levitical priesthood and so forth, and things of that nature, that were when we have our own temple and things of that nature. So Yahweh's law is a government community-based law. No community, so it's not spiritual in the sense of, and like I said, I would love to hear your definition of what do you mean the law is spiritual, because a spiritual component of something only can exist when there's a physical component of something in this flesh.
Right. Beautiful. Beautiful breakdown.
I'm interested in hearing this breakdown of spiritual too.
Yeah, I want to know what that means.
Brother, I agree with you 100%. I won't disagree with you. I will say I'm not confused. I seek a better understanding.
Okay.
And I did say off top that I do believe in the Most High law. If I worded it wrong, I take responsibility for that. I would not be labeled as confused. And I'm not saying that you said it, I'm putting it out there. We all is searching to do better, and not one of us is better than another.
Hey, Derrick, can I ask you a question real quick?
Go ahead.
Okay, is that your personal understanding, or did you hear that somewhere that the laws was spiritual?
That's my personal understanding.
Okay.
You're taking that from a specific verse that the law is spiritual? Like, where'd you get that from?
When I looked at Galatians, and he talked about the laws of the Spirit, and I used to ask Ryan, and Ryan would sit back and tell you, I asked him because I'm trying to get better to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where I stand on it. Mm-hmm. And I don't have a problem giving you my number, and we can sit down and we can go through these different laws, because I hear brothers and sisters always saying, well, you got to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. But then when you look at the law, see the way you broke it down, I never recall hearing it like that. The 613 laws broken down, that laws go to priests, there's laws for this, there's laws for that. All of it doesn't pertain to us. Mm-hmm. So,
Derrick, Derrick, I did tell you that though. I said that all 613 laws don't apply to us.
But what I'm saying, Ryan, I
did tell you that. Did I not say that?
I said I don't recall, but I also said this. But the way he broke it down to individual, like priests, we didn't get that far into it. You just said, from my remembrance, there's 613 laws, but all of it doesn't apply to Israel.
Right.
No.
I said, you don't recall, but I said that those 613 laws, a lot of them apply to the Levitical priesthood. Remember,
I just got to saying that. What I'm saying is, but the way he broke it down, I'm not saying that you brought it to my remembrance. I'm saying, yeah, I recall that. Okay. At first I didn't, but the way he broke it down was like a law for when you're supposed to, I guess, do the crops and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. We didn't get that far into it. So I'm trying to figure out, what is the law just for us? I mean, just how we live our life every day, to pretty much make it simple, so I can get better understanding.
Can anybody share this screen? I mean, I don't have the ability. Who has the ability to share a screen or can put something up or whatever?
I can share it.
Well, you said that I was going to give you my number. You can go.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. But I wanted to
what you want, KATRIEL? I got you. What you want?
So I just see if you can receive that AHMATH and open that up.
What?
I'm saying take a second. Hold on.
Okay.
I sent it by text message and I sent it by email.
And I want to say this for, I think a lot of brothers and sisters that's not even online that I hear every day. And they always wonder, well, we hear people say the law, statutes, and commandments, but they don't know, and I want to speak for them. I won't call them confused. They probably just never had no one to really just break it down and get back. Because that's what we all seeking.
Mm-hmm. There are 248 positive commandments and 248 negative indicating that we don't do, or we are not supposed that there's a, like, thou shalt not and thou shalt whatsoever.
Oh, so you trying to get the laws up?
Yeah, I don't know how to. Yeah, like I said.
You send it through email, KATRIEL?
Yeah, I send it by text and email.
Okay, I got you.
I think I got him somewhere.
And Brother Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Ryan, I do recall us talking about this. I just want to clear something up, but we never went into great details the way that is being brought up tonight. So let me just clear that up.
But that's what the children of Israel for, man. The scripture says one plant, one water, and one give the increase. We all have the self-same spirit, so we all are, extending. It's like a branch on a tree. So all I'm doing is just extending the branch of the conversation you had with them. It's the same branch. I'm just the branch is just growing a little bit further.
Yes, I agree, and I accept it.
What you trying to say, Derrick? You trying to say that I ain't tell you nothing good?
Yeah, I said that. What you gonna do about it, brother?
You know what? You cut off for being my friend. You ain't my friend no more.
Hey, AHMATH, you have a problem when he's being very direct with you?
Huh?
He's being very direct with you.
Right.
He be living out his name. He being direct with you, man.
Direct.
Yeah, he trying to make me look bad.
No, it's not that, brother. It's not that.
No, man, it is that. No, it is that.
No,
I ain't
brother.
paying your money back.
Look.
Hey,
You ain't gonna hit him though.
Brother,
It's like,
brother, can we just reason together, brother?
right. Bean pie, my brother.
Y'all stupid.
Get your hand
Can y'all see that?
Oh, you got it already? I was trying to find it.
Can you see it?
Did it come over?
Yeah.
YAACOB. Hey, YAACOB, I sent it to you too.
So do y'all see that screen? OneDrive?
Okay, it just came.
I don't see anything. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
I don't see anything.
Wait a minute. Let me.
I don't see it emails.
Okay.
Oh
Okay.
I'm trying to make sure I'm in the right.
Because okay.
Drive. Yeah, I think it's a drive. I think I could pull it up. Hold on.
Okay, pull it up.
You trying to pull up the 613 laws?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have them in order. I have them broken down, separated. I got my nice little package. Nice little package. Do a little care package. As I care about you.
See, I can't open up the OneDrive.
So I put all my notes in care packages. I care about you having the truth. So here we go.
Well, I appreciate that, brother. I appreciate all of you guys.
Right. So ultimately, what you say is I explained it better than AHMATH explained.
I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say
He ain't my friend. He ain't my damn friend no more.
So what exactly are you? Since you're not going to say that, are you going to say it in the flesh? Or are you going to say it in the spirit?
brother, come on now.
He just wanted to hear you say it.
We ain't dealing in the spirit. We're dealing in the flesh. We're dealing in the flesh.
Right.
Because the flush is weak.
Hey, Derrick, you want to play with me? I know how to play with you.
Y'all wrong. Y'all wrong. Wait a minute. This is Yahweh's day. Why y'all playing like that, man? Why y'all doing that, man? No, but
me and Derrick, how long we been knowing each other, Derrick?
We've been knowing each other since the days of RCO.
RCO, how many years is that? About 30 years?
Man, about 30 years when we used to call the brother Rock.
Yeah, they used to call me Rock.
Is that because you hard-headed?
Yeah.
No, because I used to beat up brothers like you in the streets, KATRIEL.
Oh, that's the story you tell. That's the story you tell.
Okay, so
that's the story you tell after I die. And I'm not here to tell the real story.
Right.
Y'all too funny.
Yeah.
Can y'all see
KATRIEL, email me one of those. For some reason, I guess
email or text. Email.
Email. That so I can download it, put it right on my laptop.
Okay.
Brother, do you mind? Brother, do you mind I get this because I do have people that come up to me and ask me, well, do you mind if I hand this out so people can have a better understanding?
Well, how about you get a better understanding, then you hand it out? Because until you have an understanding, it's just a handout. But when you get understanding of it, but before you take anything to be quickly given to people,
no. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah,
that's one thing I don't. That's one thing I don't do.
Yeah, because you got to be able to explain.
That's one thing I don't do. I'm not.
Yeah, because you want to be able to answer questions.
Right. I would not give out something if I don't know if I don't know any answers or have any answers. That's the reason why I asked you first. But
I don't have a problem with that at all. I mean,
Okay then.
It's just that when you do it, you got to be able to ready to talk. So I have this because I'm equipped to be able to go with whatever's being said, but I don't just give this out like that because you have to understand. Now I'm gonna give you a little bit of example of what you said. When it comes to this like this, the law of Yahweh is spiritual in this sense because everybody can't read this and get a grasp of what Yahweh is trying to say. When you read 1 Corinthians chapter 11, and that's why I wanted to go later on too, Paul says there's the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. You have to know when to apply both. It takes Yahweh's Holy Spirit. So, but anyway, so this is a very good breakdown here of the laws and how they apply and what applies. And I have my notes on that. I figured nobody will understand my notes. I mean, I got one that's all inked up. I just sent a blank one, and you can make your own notes on it whatsoever. But these are principal laws and rules, and they're broke down into harvest. They're broke down into the priest. They're broke down to every category. And you can read those and see there are some things like the priesthood applies to us spiritually in this sense. I'm gonna give you an example, like the reason that the priests were to have the 12 stones on their chest, right? And the reason that the 12 stones were encoded in gold, right, is because the 12 stones represented the 12 tribes of Israel and how closely knit we should be together, how tightly connected we should be together, and that we should be. And the reason that gold, that everything is always plated in gold, is because everybody knows gold is a soft metal that don't rust. Because our service to Yahweh doesn't rust, and it has to be soft and pliable. We have to be soft and pliable. That's why everything in Yahweh's temple is laid in gold. It's because we are his temple. We should not rust, and we should be pliable. See, that's spiritual. That's the spiritual point of the law. But you need the physical breastplate, and you need the physical stones to get the spiritual message behind it. So that's how the law is spiritual. But you only know that after the literal. Why did Yahweh always use gold? He used three metals in the temple: gold, copper, and silver. They all were trying to tell something. He used certain stones. He made certain things in the temple very you couldn't make anything in the temple with what is it, YAACOB? Like a hammer or an axe, or right? Yeah. It had to be by stone. He wanted the temple to be built physical with you because you are that temple. He wanted to be hands-on with you because you are that temple. So that's the spiritual portion of it. That's what our forefathers would not have understood. We have come to understand that through time, through revelation of the law and through growing in the spirit. But these are the 613 commandments broken down, and I mean, you literally, you can just go through every last one of them. You can apply which one applies to you. They all. Let me make this clear. All of these laws apply, but the law of running a red light don't apply to you if you don't drive. If you don't drive, every law in America applies to you, but only if it applies to you. You see what I'm saying? So some of these laws will never be anything you have to do because maybe you're not a farmer. Maybe you don't drive. Maybe you're not a priest. These are this is Yahweh's constitution. This is what he constituted for Israel to live in a community together. Everybody's not a priest. You don't have to worry about coming off of your cycle on 7 days because you're not a woman. There are things that only apply to you and only apply to us in our community. These are the laws of Yahweh's kingdom. These are his kingdom covenant laws.
Want me to stop sharing this?
Repeat it again.
You want me to stop sharing?
I mean, it's up to you. I guess. Can anybody read? I guess you want to read the first couple. Read the first couple.
Going back to
go to family. Go to family. Where you
go to family. I want to look at family. Go back to family.
Yeah, family.
Okay. 209. Show honor and respect for Yahweh's appointed teachers. Leviticus
right.
19,
So you're right. Mm-hmm.
Show honor and respect to parents. Exodus 20:12. Become holy as Yahweh is holy. Leviticus 19:2.
Mm-hmm.
Bring forth the holy seed. 144,000 holy priesthood promised to Abraham. 128. Marriage must be according to Yahweh's laws. Deuteronomy 24:1. A bridegroom is to rejoice with his bride. Deuteronomy 24:5. All males must be circumcised. Newborn males on the 8th day. Genesis 17:10, 12:14.
Now pause for a second. See, Brother Derrick, you see that one right there? You can't make that spiritual. You have to circumcise your son on the 8th day. When my sons were born, they do not get circumcised in the hospital. We have a memorial that circumcised our son or our children in our assembly on the 8th day. That is a commandment. That's not spiritual. And when you in Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 8, can somebody read Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 8 real quick? Just because Deuteronomy chapter 30, verse 8 says this, that does not discount what he's saying right here. Because this ain't, everybody think when they hear this a new thing. Like this is new. Like Paul said this. Paul didn't first say this. This has been said a long time ago.
And you shall return and obey the voice of Yahweh and do all his commandments, which I command you this day. And Yahweh your Elohim will make you plenteous in all the work of your hand, in the fruit of your body, and in the fruit of your cattle. And in the
Wait, hold on one second. 30, chapter 30?
Yep. Deuteronomy.
Chapter 30, I'm sorry, I apologize. 30 verse 6. 30 verse 6.
Okay. And Yahweh your Elohim will circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed to love Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart, with all your soul, that you may live.
You see, brother? You see that circumcision of the heart? Every time a person hear that, they think that's some New Testament statement. That is not a New Testament statement. Circumcision of the heart is what Yahweh wanted Israel to be from the beginning of time. Jeremiah chapter 30, 31, verse 31. He wanted Israel. Do me real quick, YAACOB. Go to Ezekiel 44:9. Ezekiel 44:9. Let's just nail this down a little bit. Let's nail down the word. Our word was nailed down 2,000 years ago on a tree, and we still nailing it down.
Ezekiel 44.
Verse 9.
Verse 9. In this manner says the sovereign. Yep. In this manner says the sovereign Yahweh, no foreigner, uncircumcised in heart and uncircumcised in flesh shall enter.
Wait. He said what?
No foreigner, uncircumcised in heart and uncircumcised in flesh.
Okay, so spirit and the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going. I love it, man. I love it. Let's keep nailing down that word.
Shall enter into my sanctuary of any foreigners that are among the children of Israel.
So a foreigner can't enter into Yahweh uncircumcised in heart or flesh. See, it's always spiritual and physical. Spiritual and physical. It's never Yahweh. Yahweh's been. That's why when you said earlier of this Old Testament, the Yahweh is different. He different in the Old Testament. No, he's not. He ain't different in the Old. He is the same. When people hear circumcision of the heart, they automatically think that's something the New Testament said or the Bible. No, Yahweh has been trying to get it through Israel's thick skull since the beginning of time. I don't just want circumcision in the flesh. I want circumcision in the heart. I don't want just circumcision in the heart. I want circumcision. They both work hand in hand. That's why I said earlier, I like to show me anybody how you and your wife are one flesh. Like how is that? Last time I checked, you are two people, but you're one flesh because of the spirit of the law makes you one. That's a physical thing, the covenant thing. You physically enter into her and you become one flesh. And then throughout a daily process, because of her bearing your name and the covenant agreement you have, that's what makes you one flesh and one mind. That's how Yahweh and Yahshua. Yahweh and Yahshua are two separate entities with one like mind. That's what the Shema is about. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh YAQAR. Here, O Israel, Yahweh is two, but Yahweh is one. See, Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh YAQAR. Yahweh is two, but Yahweh is one. He's like you and your wife. You and your wife are two, but you're one. You're two people, but one like mind. Two entities, but one mission. You're one. That's the Shema. The Shema is ran in all of our households through our marriages. 2 and 1. That's what Elohim is. That's how you live out Elohim in your home. And then you have children, and your children are like the angels. You all are now, they are the sons of Elohim. So you function as Elohim. You guys are now 3 and 1, 4 and 1, because you all are the same like mind. Shema Yisrael, Yahweh Elohim, Yahweh Echad, the oneness, the Echad. That oneness. Yahweh is one. He's he is Almighty. Like Yahweh is he is Leolam. He is Olam, like to be hidden. As I said, we hide ourselves in his eternity. To Olam, we hide ourselves in his structure, his law. So this law of Yahweh is spiritual, but it's fit. And that one in Ezekiel, I always, when people say the law of Yahweh is spiritual, I always save Ezekiel 44:9 for the big joker and say, well, explain that to me. Explain how, because Yahweh is always one of the physical and spiritual. You need both. Can't have one without the other. So if you're not circumcising your son on the 8th day when he's born, then you can't say he's circumcised in the heart. You need both.
All praises. I think we broke that down very well. All praises, KATRIEL. Broke that down to the very last compound.
Thank Yahweh, brother. It was what I was born for.
Yes, sir. Did that answer your question? Or does that give you a little insight, D?
It was all right.
It's all right. It's all right. Yeah, all right.
No, I'm just joking with you guys. Nah, man. You know what? You hit on point. And I'm a man that can sit back and say, man, you know what? I appreciate that. Because I appreciate you, brother.
No problem. That's
so
what
I'm going to run with it, and I'm going to dive into it.
Says, use me till you use me up.
Could we dive into Hosea chapter 11?
You okay? You sure? Hey. What you reading? Okay.
Y'all look tired, though.
Oh.
That's good. Yeah, y'all go. Hey, go ahead. Hey, I'm all word out. Like we said, we've been nailed. Joshua nailed himself to a tree, nailed himself down years ago. We still nailing it down. So let's keep on nailing.
All right. Hosea 11. It says, "When Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt. The more the prophets called them, the more they went from them. They sacrificed to Baalim and burned incense to carved images." Yet,
hold on, one quick second, Brother YAQUIN.
Yep.
Can you read text? For some reason, I can't find your email in my like my what you call it? I think the feds went in and got you out of there.
The feds. Come and get them clowns.
Yeah, text me again. Yeah, and just text it to me, and then I can. I'm trying. Can't find it for some reason.
You in here is iPhone. Okay.
Leave her alone. Leave her. That's a YAACOB.
All right, you got it.
Text it to me.
Just look in the chat. That's what we want to put it in the chat.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, Derrick, did you understand everything, brother?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
No
Do you agree? Do you agree with everything? I mean, do you have any questions?
I agree. Like I said, I didn't understand it, but I understand it now. If that makes sense, it makes sense. Because
I taught KATRIEL everything he knows.
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. What does Romans 10:9 say? No, Ahmad, I'm asking you, what does Romans 10:9 say? Because I can quote it. Since you taught me it, what did it say?
Everything you said. How about that? Don't try to one up on me, boy.
Right.
As he says, how can they learn unless they have a teacher, and how to teach lest he be sent? Yes, he be. So we all need a teacher. Not now, but yeah. I mean, I've learned more from Brother Ahmad than what he know. Without the desire to divulge to him whatsoever. I don't divulge everything on the first couple of dates now. You want to take me more out to dinner. You got to take me on a little trip outside the country before I start divulging.
What you say, KATRIEL?
I said I've learned more from you than what you expect. I said, but on our first couple of days, I'm not going to tell you that. You got to take me on a little trip outside the country, wine me and dine me before I let you know how really.
We can get on the G5, baby. Hey, we can get on the G5, and I have that the stewardess treating you first class all the way, back and forth.
It's 11 o'clock.
So they ain't no but a time. We be riding a little jet like P. Diddy and Mace.
Look,
how about that?
Look, y'all can read Hosea 11 on by yourself.
All right, so how do I go in this daggone chat and get this thing, man? Like
So just hit chat at the bottom of the screen. Are you?
Hold on. 1 second. So
you have to hit more on the iPhone.
Oh right, yep, right. Okay, so here we go, right here.
Just share screen.
Okay, what'd you say? Hosea what?
11. Was you trying to share your screen, KATRIEL?
No, I don't know how to do that. No, I was just trying to get Brother Joaquin's email.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, finish talking.
Ready for you,
Yeah.
All right.
I was waiting on me.
Let me
waiting on y'all.
Look, I'll hit you in 3 ways. How about that? You won't be able to miss it.
All right.
Okay.
I guess verse 3. Hosea.
You started at 3?
Chapter 11, yeah. Yet I taught Ephraim to walk. I took them on my arms, but they knew not that I healed them. I drew them with cords of a man, with bands of love, and I was to them as they that lift up the yoke on their jaws, and I laid food before them. They shall not return into the land of Egypt, but the Assyrian shall be their king, because they refuse to return to me. And the sword shall fall upon their cities, and shall consume their bars, and devour them because of their own counsels. And my people are bent on backsliding from me. Though they call them to him that is on high, none at all will exalt him. How shall I give you up, Ephraim? How shall I cast you off, Israel? How shall I make you as Admah? How shall I set you as Zeboim? My heart is turned within me. My compassions are kindled together. I will not execute the fierceness of my anger. I will not return to destroy Ephraim. For I am El and not man, the Holy One in the middle of you. And I will not come in wrath. They shall walk after Yahweh, who will roar like a lion. For he will roar, and the children shall come trembling from the west. They shall come trembling as a bird out of Egypt, and as a dove out of the land of Assyria. and I will make them to dwell in their houses, says Yahweh. Ephraim compasses me about with falsehood, and the house of Israel with deceit. But Judah yet rules with El, and is faithful with the Holy One. I was just trying to get like a breakdown of that because I think it's kind of like something that was fulfilled, but yet still to come. I think spiritually, like was something. You know, with the Assyrians, like we was enslaved by Babylon. You know, is there going to be like another enslavement before we're set free or something? Like, because we were set free from Egypt, and then the Assyrians got us.
Anybody want to take that or?
Wait, how far down did you go, James?
No, I read the whole chapter.
Oh, cool. Okay.
But I was looking at I guess more so verse 5. They shall not return into the land of Egypt, but the Assyrians shall be their king, because they refuse to return to me.
From my understanding, this scripture is talking about that for that time. You know, some prophecies are twofold, some scriptures twofold, but this is talking about at that time. From my understanding, because let's read it. When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Nazarene called my son. They called to them, so they went from their face. They slaughtered to the Baals and burned incense to carve images, and taught Ephraim to walk, taking them by their arms. But they did not know that I healed them. So it's talking about in that time frame, that time period of the northern kingdom, you know, going off. I drew them with ropes of man, with cords of love, and I was to them as those who take the yoke from their neck, and I bent down and fed them. 5. No, let him return to the land of Mitzrayim, and let Ashur be his sovereign, because they refuse to repent. And the sword shall whirl in his cities, and it shall demolish his gate bars and consume because of their own counsels. My people are bent towards backsliding from me. Though they call to the one above, none of them exalt him. How could I give you up, Ephraim? How could I hand you over, Israel? How could I make you like AHMATH? Could I set you like Tessium? My heart turns within me. All my compassion is kindled. So it's talking about, you know, to me, just, you know, I could be wrong, but it's talking about Northern Kingdom going into that captivity. So, you know, that's talking about at that period, at that time. It's not talking about any future prophecy or anything like that. It was just talking about at that time.
Okay.
Can you repeat wait, what was the question again, YAACOB?
Well, I was just thinking that it was two-folded. Like it was something that happened, but something to come.
And what, the whole chapter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or at least verse 5, the Assyrians, you know, we was taken from Egypt, but the Assyrians get us type thing.
They shall not enter into Egypt, into the land of Egypt, but the Assyrians shall be their king. Right.
I think basically talking about the Assyrian captivity.
Right.
Okay.
So, I mean, whenever Yahweh is talking, from my understanding of how I study, is just, I mean, I could be wrong about this, but how I study, Yahweh has these markers. And when he's talking about certain groups of people, he may not necessarily be talking about those groups of people. Right. He's talking about the way those people act or the way they were treated. Like he talks about Amalek a lot. And this is where the letter of the law comes into problem. Everybody start going on this chase of finding where Amalek is. Or, well, is this Amalek? Well, how's Amalek dealing with these people right here? When I go back and study it, Amalek would have died off here. Why is he calling these people and say Amalek? Amalek, because he's not talking about specifically Amalek. The word Amalek means people are king, or the people that licketh, like Amalek, or like that licketh, right? Well, you know, and of course, YAQUIN could go further into the word, but from my understanding of the word, the people are king, or the people that licketh, when you bring the look at the word. So when you're looking at stuff like this, you do yourself a disservice by not knowing what the word Assyria means. You got to look at what the word Assyria means. You could be looking at what does the word mean, and then you got to go back and look at what Assyrian bondage was like. And how is he applying it? It's different bondages brought us different bales. Different brought us different bondage. The twofold, the real twofold thing is in verse 1. That's the real twofold thing. Verse 1 is talking about Yahshua the Messiah. So read verse 1.
When Israel was a child, then I loved him and called my son out of Egypt.
So that's twofold. Because Yahshua is the great Israelite, Zechariah chapter 11. And Yahshua went into Egypt, and Yahweh called him out of Egypt. He went into Egypt, and Yahweh called Israel out of Egypt. He is the great Israelite. He is the man who rules himself with El. He is Israel by himself. So you read Zechariah, what's the chapter where it talks about Yahshua, the high priest? And that communication he had with Satan. YAQUIN. Yes. Kai, can you go?
I was just looking up. I was just looking at Amalek. Give me a sec to find it.
The turkey bacon is for the morning. Do not eat all of the turkey bacon. Go ahead. Go. Okay, go. Close the door, please. Yafa. Yafa. Close the door, please. Kaya, can you give your sister some more? Turkey bacon? One. Just one is fine. All right, okay, close. Thank you.
I want more.
Yafa. One more.
What's in the container?
Okay, that's fine. So what did you say, YAQUIN?
No, I was saying I was just looking at Amalek.
Okay.
And when you said that, I was like, I gotta. So I had to hit. Hit reverse real fast.
I can find it. I just off the top of my head, it just
Right.
Oh, so no, it's Zechariah chapter 6 and Zechariah chapter 3, where that communication with him and Satan is, and this is where he's referred to as the branch. See that's what he means. Yahshua is from how he is the branch is because he was born in Nazareth, and the word Nazareth means branch town, right, or the town of the branch. He is the branch. So this is where he is seen as the great Israelite. So verse 1 is twofold for sure, because he's talking about when he called Israel, the people, out of Egypt. Then he's talking about when he calls his son Yahshua out of Egypt, when he sent them into Egypt, being, when he was told to go into Miriam and Yosef were told to go into Egypt.
Okay.
Worldliness to the goodness of Yahweh, the love of Yahweh. Take them to captivity. Worldly.
Wait, Zechariah, what was that? What chapter?
Chapter 3. That's when he's first called the branch there. And
okay. Oh, yeah.
Hanasarak, I think it is. Hanasarak, I believe. I'm looking at the word here. You can help me with pronunciation. I speak with my tongue, so everything don't always come out correctly.
Show me. Sure. And
the house of
Because when you look at Zechariah chapter 6, verse 9, it says, "And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, take of them of the captivity of Helidah and Tobiah and Yedadiah," right? So yes, you can look at those words, but the word Helidah means worldliness, and Tobiah means good. Good is of Yahweh, and Yedadiah means the loved of Yahweh. So those are the things that were taken into captivity of the nature of the people of Israel, not specifically those people. You got to look at the character of what the definition of those words were, and that's what was robbed of them. The high priest. But yeah, so in verse 1, that definitely was, from my understanding, that's a twofold thing. And to go with Brother AHMATH said, definitely further down is definitely talking about the existence of the northern kingdoms, the continuation of their captivity, going in and coming out.
Okay.
Wait, which word were you referring to then? Also, what was the word?
In verse 3, verse 8, the word for branch there.
Oh, 8. Okay, yeah, I didn't know.
Then in chapter 6, verse 9, I looked at all three of them.
Imach.
Yes, sir.
Temach.
Temach is the word.
Temach.
Semach.
Yep.
Okay.
With the tzadi.
Oh, tzadi. Okay, not the samek.
Right. No,
okay.
No, not samek. It's temach. So yeah.
Okay, I got you. But that part I definitely know is prophetic, twofold for sure. That one, the first one is talking about Joshua, and therefore more the prophets called for them, the more they sacrificed to the Baalim and burnt incense to carved images. I mean, we actually live in that today. We live in that right now. That's what we do. That happens in the Christian church all the time. It says the more Yahweh calls to Israel wherever they are hidden, the more they call on the Lord, because the Baalim means lords. So the more Yahweh calls to them, the more they call on the lords. And they burn incense and carve images to them. So after Yahweh is calling his people out of paganism, they still call on the Lord. And he says, verse 3, "Yet I taught Ephraim," or Ephraim, "to walk. I told them, I took them on their arms, but they knew not that I healed them." So I use this verse all the time to show people when they say, well, I've been in church and I worship God and I worship the Lord and I've been healed. So how is that the name I'm using in the worship that I'm using is wrong? But Hosea says it clearly right here. You can call on the Lord and you can call on God, but it is Yahweh doing the healing. It's him doing the healing. He says, "Yet I taught Ephraim to walk, and I taught them," it says, "I took them on my arms, but they knew not that I healed them," because they're giving honor and worship to Baal. They're giving honor and worship to the Lord. So they are getting healed. I used to argue with people back in the day when I was young, well, ain't nobody healing you. Yes, they are. There are healings happening in Islam. There are healings happening in Christianity. There are things happening, and they are giving honor to the Baalim. But Yahweh said, you guys are lost Israelites. Yahweh still has promises to lost Israel. That's what people don't understand. Yahweh still has a promise to lost Israel. Just like the prodigal son's father had had obligation to the prodigal son. So there are things happening in the Christian church. It's not because they're serving the right mighty one. It's not even because they're doing the right thing. It's because Yahweh has certain rights to them. It's Yahweh's child support. It's his child support. Even though the child ain't in the house, he still supports the child. It's his child support. There's a distance, there's a break, but just because their child ain't with you, just because you've broken away from the mother, you've broken away from, what does the scripture say, YAACOB? He says, Judah, how you polluted the land. He says, Israel, you polluted the land, and your treacherous sister Judah, just because the treacherous baby mother is gone, Yahweh's still paying his child support to Judah. Even though he's treacherous.
Wow.
He's still paying support. And they putting on gold and rings and costly array with support, thinking that their mighty one has done it. No, their mighty one has not done a thing. It is Yahweh paying his child support, even though they are treacherous, even though they have walked away. But they want to give honor to the new dad, to Baal, to the new husband. It is not. It is Yahweh doing things.
Yep.
And you know what? You know, to piggyback on what you just said about, Balaam, so many of us unknowingly worship him and don't realize it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, just if you really think about it, most of these pagan holidays or folly days that we follow goes back to Baal.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, we know it, but the normal average person does not realize that.
That's why the name of Yahweh. That's why the name of Yahweh is so important, and it unlocks everything, because the exclusive use and pronunciation of the name of Yahweh and Yahshua really put a halt on everything. I see a lot of religious people, right? Christian, different culture. They'll go to Africa, right? And they'll bring back these African masks.
Right, right.
Things, right? I mean, religious people now. Religious.
Right, I know.
Think that's their culture. No, many years ago, my elder in our assembly, he back in the early 80s, he knew a couple that was having issues getting pregnant. And they were struggling. Make a long story short, come to find out they had went to Africa and got a little teraphim whatsoever, just in the marketplace whatsoever, brought it home as something that they, just an artifact just to put in the house, And when you come and read about that deity that they brought home, it was a deity that was specific into halting fertility. Fertility. And once they got that deity out of the house, they got pregnant shortly after that. That's a real thing. Because we bring Baal into our home, in our agriculture, in the things we buy. That's why if I go buy a candle, I buy anything, I'm looking at the artwork. I'm not just looking at, this is nice. No, I'm looking at the structure of the frame. I'm looking at making sure there's nothing idolatrous about what I'm trying to do in my home. Right. Just because it's nice, all artwork isn't Israel's artwork. And there are curses and power inside of those artifacts that could be causing you to have issues in your home, and you don't even know why, because you got this little thing sitting in your house that you think is I don't know, whatever, the issue with the praying hands, whatever. Like, I don't know if anybody has ever felt that, right? But does anybody ever search, and people could answer this, whatever, maybe know that, like, this whole thing, like, does the scripture ever indicate Israel putting their hands together to pray like this?
Absolutely not. Absolutely.
So, I mean, like, where does that even come from? Like, I mean, Israel did this. They definitely did this. The priests separated with, this is where Mr. Spock gets this from. They definitely, when you look at the Parki Avot, you know what I'm saying? It definitely shows historically that they did, the high priest did things like this. And I'm not necessarily saying, because I haven't done a thorough study of it. I'm going to get into this now. This is one of the things I'm going to get into beginning of Passover. Start looking at physical body things that we do with our body, like going down on our knees and praying and moving whatever. These are things that I looked at many years ago briefly. And when I went to go look at them, Yahweh said it wasn't time to study that. So now I'm going to come back on around and just start our body movement, the way we stretch our body when we stretch, the way we sit when we sit and we cross our legs. Like, what are we really doing? Why do our body movements, just what we do with our regular bodies, how we sit and do this, the motion of our body. Because, when, in the military, when they do like this, that came from that whole thing with the Roman, medieval, what do you call those guys?
King Arthur?
Yeah, the knights, like whatever, like putting their mask up. You know what I'm saying? Like their mask.
Yeah.
They would put their mask up, whatever, to speak to the king. Whatever. We do that movement right there. Whatsoever. So just the movement, all the movements that we do. So I'm just trying to continue to purify myself to see in my daily body movements how much of paganism I've adopted. Have I adopted it in that? Right. You know what I'm saying? You revealed to me, like, am I doing anything? You know, because I go to my grandmother's house. I go to all sorts of stuff, and they Christians, and they got little Buddhas in their house, little Indian, the Indian dream catcher. How many Christians got the Indian dream catcher thing hanging in a car? Like, what are you? What are you a Christian or are you a? You know what I'm saying? So,
well, even with them, getting in the circle. Remember, in the Christian church, everybody used to get into the circle. They don't understand. That goes back to the wicked.
Yeah,
the witches.
Yeah, circle, right, absolutely. Right.
We never did that. That was a paganistic ritual.
Right.
That they used to commune. That's why the Stonehenge over there in Ireland, the Stonehenge is in a circle.
Right, absolutely.
Right. Yep.
Not to say that you're wrong, like the whole thing with bowing your head and closing your eyes. Everything that I've ever looked at whatsoever, everything that I've ever looked at whatsoever. Not saying that Israel, that you can't close your eyes when you pray to Yahweh, but the reason people close their eyes when they pray was to get the image of their mighty one in their head. Because when you close your eyes, you get an image better. Whatsoever, you create an image. I mean, it's not anything technically wrong with doing it, as long as when you close your eyes, you're not trying to create the image of the deity in your head. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because the only image that Israel has of Yahweh at all is Yod Hey Wav Hey. That's all we have. You know what I'm saying? Whenever I think of him sitting on the throne, I just think of the Yod Hey Wav Hey. That's the only thing he's given us as far as an image to see. Right. Even on the Ark of the Covenant between the two cherubim, there's nothing there. The only thing that can go there is the tetragrammaton. That's the only thing that can go there. I mean, that's literally it. So,
right. Yeah. Then he did say in Exodus 20 that you shall not make any image of anything that's in heaven above, or in the earth beneath, or in the water that's below the earth. You shall not create any image. That I'm sure that doesn't mean just with your hands make an image, but it's also in your mind's eye, because the idea to create comes out of your mind first, and then what's in your mind you can do by your hand. And so I mean, I have actually confronted people who are in church ministry, on those points, and they looked at me like I lost my mind. Like, what are you talking about? That's just a cross. The bishops, they have the crosses across their bodies and stuff. I've actually approached them like, that's wrong. What? And this, I would occasionally get in trouble for that, because, you're supposed to treat him like a father. Really? But thing is, he's treating me like someone that's ignorant. I mean, you don't do, and a lot of times these people know that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, they do it anyway.
Right. I agree.
So is that not disrespectful?
Minister KATRIEL, when you're speaking of the different positionings and things, are you going along? What happened? You don't like Minister? I'm sorry.
This brother KATRIEL is. I'm
sorry.
She called him Minister.
Brother, it just came out.
I've been called my names, but a minister ain't one. I've been called a ministry. I lead ministry.
Pastor, Bishop, Reverend, Apostle.
Right, Reverend Apostle Doctor.
Reverend Deacon.
It's just titles.
That is right there.
No,
holding my mule while walking up Mount Zion.
Right.
I don't know what made me say
all right, Shirley Caesar over there.
Okay.
That's holding your mule.
Listen, the prophetess woman said she wouldn't die until she saw the Messiah come. So there are many great things that come through the mouth of women that you may not know.
Yeah, I don't know where I stand. Yeah.
Don't know. I mean, hey, listen, I'm not going to be the one that says don't listen to the women when they say he is risen. You have a valid point. If he's saying something through you, he may be saying something through you, but can you tell him when you talk to him, I don't want it. Leave me alone.
Okay, but now, wait, I don't want to lose my train of thought. When you're speaking of the positionings of the body and stuff like that, it reminded me of yoga.
Oh, yeah. The direction I'm going at, that and Pilates.
Yeah, Pilates.
Those two things, right? Yeah, those two things. I'm going into both of those things. Like I want to be as virgin as I possibly can be. People may say it's going too far. I just, for myself, this is the way Yahweh works with me, how he deals with me. As I draw near to his throne room, Yahweh brings me as close as he can, as close as I can handle. And he allows me to say, okay, well, he's good enough to do a little bit more. Now, to the average person, they may say, well, that's just going too far. And in my mind, that's going too far. But I just would think when he says it to me, it's something, whenever Yahweh says something to me, to say, I think to myself, Yahweh, I will never be able to complete that. I have to remember that he is bringing me close enough. It's like a baseball coach or a football coach who thinks that the child may be ready for the next activity or the next level. So just for me, I just know, and Brother Moth, and we were talking earlier about the words, just YAACOB too, about fortunate and so many different things, so many things in the English language that we use that are pagan. That is why we need the grace of Yahweh. That's why he says in Exodus that he shows mercy to the thousands of them that love him, because we are blaspheming all the day long. Believe me, this language, Yahweh is having a lot of patience with us, because that is the type of cussing him out that we really do. That's the real these words that we are using are original words. So he's patient with us and merciful to us until as Hosea says, he returns back to us the pure language whatsoever, and we will all speak with one lip,
Right. Even the word wish is one of those words. That's a word that I stopped using about 20 years ago, and I often catch myself, that the word comes. It's like, no, I'm gonna say something. It'll be something else. I'm
glad that you said that, brother.
Can I ask about a word, Brother YAACOB, if I'm saying your name right?
Yeah.
What do you think about YAACOB? Okay. The word proud. Every time I read that in Proverbs, it's used in a very haughty and a very cocky and arrogant way. Is that correct, or because it sounds kind of boisterous? Yeah.
Proud.
Yes.
The word proud. Well, that could. Wait. Let me see if I can find one of those really quickly. Let's see if I can find one of those real quick. Y'all resist the proud. Is that one of the scriptures? Okay, let me look at that, because I'm gonna pull that word out and give you the real actual Hebrew word for that.
Thank you.
The thing is, though, when we use Hebrew, sometimes, when we translate it to American, I don't call this language English, because it's far from English. I've been to England. They don't talk nothing like us. Nothing. Not even close. We're not even the same ballpark. But But you know, a lot of times what winds up happening is a lot of those words wind up becoming wind up being used for more than one word in Hebrew. Now let me see.
Let me make sure you're comfortable.
Okay, 1347. Oh. I'm gonna look up one of these words real fast because actually there are I think there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I'm saying 5,
7.
6. Yes.
7. There's somewhere about 7 words used for pride in Hebrew, but thing is, it's not. Well, I think in those particular cases, let me mark those words. I'm sorry about taking so long. Answer.
You're fine.
I'm gonna make sure to get these words together. This is a lot of what I do. You know, over the course of the day, I'll be studying something that, you know, a word will pop into my head. Boom, there I go looking at that word, and I look at it in the Hebrew. And then I break it into the ancient Hebrew, and I wind up sometimes adding meaning to that word that's more Hebrew cultural. And let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I sent you the email, Joaquin.
Beautiful. Thank you, sir. You are a gentleman and a scholar.
So are you.
I appreciate it, my good brother. Good Lord. There's even more words. I'm finding more. 47, 30, 44. Right. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. So there are 8 words that they use for pride. Let me take a glance at the first one real quick. 1847. It's okay. I'm going to mark these words too for myself so I can remember. Gaon is one, which actually, it's arrogancy, excellency, majesty, pomp, swelling,
self-righteous,
like when a person pokes out their chest. That's Gaon. But yeah, thinking you more than you are.
Right.
Basically. Where's the 14? Here we go. Then there's Gewa. Oh, right. Okay. 1465. So it's about the same as that one. We're close to it. Gaon and Gewa